Yeah! What's going on, guys? It's your boy Burrow77 coming to you live with another 149 game Super Saturday slate in college hoops. It is Friday, and we are starting off a new month. We are already up units. We hit a nice team total in La Liga with the Bet US La Liga soccer show that you can catch me on every Thursday at 3 p.m. We're going to jump right into it. We're feeling good. We're getting a beer cracked. And we're going to talk a little bit about what happened during the week. I forgot to put it on here, but I'll start with VCU. We took VCU plus 4.5. They lost by 5. It was tough. The ref made a really kind of ticky-tack call there at the end with 0.2 seconds left on the clock to send Bynes to the free throw line, up 3. They sunk both of them and hooked us. So that really stinks. Georgia was up 17 at half and then failed to cover the plus 6.5. Alabama just got red hot shooting from 3. So that kind of stinks. But if you were watching the game, you had plenty of opportunity for a nice 23, 24-point middle there. So, again, when this is a home dog, you want to feel comfortable up 17, but they are playing one of the best teams in the country. So there was an opportunity there to get out if you wanted to while you were watching live. Richmond takes care of us. They stay red hot. They play again tomorrow. I didn't have a line up for them when I was doing the show, so I'm going to try and get a video short out. They play VCU, and it's in-state rivalry, so that'll be really, really fun match. The campuses are super close, so it'll be packed up. Richmond's still undefeated in conference play, and then UNC Asheville looked good, played tough the entire time, and then just completely folded in the last 3 minutes, so that stunk a little bit. We keep it moving, though, because we are having a good day. We're having some good vibes. We lose a little bit over half a unit on, that says Saturday. That should say Wednesday's show totals. CBB Show record moves to 17-1 and 21 for minus 2.81 units. We're still up on the season, but we had a little bit of a rough midweek. It's been a bloodbath. We've had a ton of upsets. I think this weekend is going to be a bloodbath too. So I did a little twist on the show. I only got 4 bets for you guys today. We're going to get into those here quickly, but I just figured I'd let you know. I have to record these and then edit them and then get them up. So I know there's a long time between when I finish doing these and when they go up online. So I'm going to include a lot of leans at the end, and then I'm going to try and put out a couple of, minute to 90-second YouTube, Instagram shorts to link back to you guys when I get some more information and when these markets kind of settle down. Like I said, it's a massive slate. We're going to have a lot more bets than 4, but these are just some early numbers I feel confident in. Let's get right into it. UConn's is on the road at John's. UConn, you can get them laying minus 2.5. This is at noon on Fox TV. Big 12 matchup, and it's going to be awesome. UConn's coming off a tough game with Providence where they still managed to pull ahead by 9 late. I'm still of the opinion that UConn is one of the top 5 teams in the country. I have them number 2 up there with North Carolina. For me, those are the 2 guys that are just playing the best basketball. Anyway, we'll keep it moving. Defense and rebounding here is going to be key. St. John's is good at the glass. UConn's good at the glass. Both of these guys get a lot of offensive rebounds and create second chance opportunities. So cleaning up the glass on the defensive end is going to be key here. If you win the glass, you're going to be able to win this game. UConn, they want to slow the pace down here, and it's very effective for them. Johns likes to play faster, and I think that if UConn can control the tempo here, they will control a lot more of this game. They hold on to the ball. set up their offensive sets. They run pick and rolls. They run screens. They get a lot of ball movement. They find an open man. And when they finish their baskets, they play defense so well that, it's tough. It's tough to get out and run in transition on these guys. So I think that if the pace is slow and this is a low-scoring game, the edge is definitely with the UConn Huskies. Johns, they just flat out stink at the free throw line. They're, 225, 230 out of 362 in the country. UConn is about average. They start off the year a lot better. They've had some struggles at the free throw line lately, but they're still hanging around the middle of the pack. So give the edge to the Huskies at the stripe a little bit there. And Johns just struggles to close out games. They lost the previous head-to-head at UConn, and they kept it tight. It was 69-65. Senior guard Tristan Newton for UConn is an absolute stud. So you got anchored senior guard play back there for UConn. I think this is a really nice number. This opened up at like -5.5. And it was only kind of on 2 shops, and then it moved to 5 pretty quickly. And then when other people came to market, a point -2.5 came up. I think getting UConn under a full 3-point possession here is a really nice number. So I went ahead and jumped on it and already plunked down my cash, threw it up in Discord. So we're riding the UConn Huskies -2.5 tomorrow at noon. Over in the Big 12, we got another good matchup. Oklahoma is taking on UCF at 4 p.m. on ESPN+. And look, Oklahoma are road warriors here. Oklahoma excels on the road, and they struggle in their own building for some reason. Oklahoma is coming off of back-to-back road wins versus Cincinnati, which is a very, very tough building to play, and KSU, which is an incredibly tough barn. We know I always talk about how tough of a barn Kansas State has to play. So I like Oklahoma here coming off of coming off of their 2 road wins in a row. They had a couple of games at home that they dropped, but again, the Big 12 is a war zone. They're playing very tough competition. I know UCF is as well. They just lost at home to Baylor. Like I said, that was a prove-it-to-me game for Baylor, whether or not they're the better team. I think Oklahoma's the better team here. I think we're getting a really nice number. -1.5 was the spread. I saw a -2 kind of rogue out there, but I got the money line at -118. I think that's a very good number. I don't want to have to worry about any sort of points or overtime or getting a hook on a 1-point win. So I'll just go ahead and eat the juice and take -118 on the money line here. UCF, they play defense really well. They just don't score. They rebound really well too. They clean up the glass. They prevent second chance opportunities. So it's going to be a struggle, and they don't shoot free throws well either. So it's just a rock fight every time UCF plays. The way they manage to win games is they keep them low scoring, they control the pace, and they want to keep the game under 65 because UCF isn't terribly capable of scoring much more than 65. And Oklahoma has a really good defense as well, and it travels. So it'll be interesting to see this one. Oklahoma does some of their best work in the paint. Both of these teams like to shoot close proximity to the basket, which is always good. Draw your contact, get to the free throw line, knock them down if you're Oklahoma. That's a struggle for UCF. That's why we're going to back Oklahoma here on the road. There's slight favorites, but I think it's going to be a fun game. It'll be won and lost on the glass. Both of these teams rebound well. Whoever comes down with more rebounds is probably going to win the game. And like I said, I think this is going to be kind of a low-scoring rock fight and a tight one, but a fun one. Keeping it moving, we got some mid-major action in the Missouri Valley. This is the cream of the crop. Indiana State is hosting Drake at 6 p.m. on ESPN2, and the Sycamores are number 1. They're number 1 in the Missouri Valley Conference, and Drake is number 2. Drake got the better of them in their building in the head-to-heads, and now Indiana is going to be looking for revenge. I think these guys are probably going to play a third game. It's probably going to be in the championship game of the Missouri Valley Conference tournament, and the winner is going to go to the big dance. So let's get a nice little preview on the second leg of this head-to-head. Drake struggles on the road. That's where 3 of their losses have come from, and a couple of them recently. They just lost to Missouri State in double overtime in Missouri. They lost to Belmont and UAB in overtime. Yes, a couple of these games did need overtime, but Missouri State shouldn't have been giving Drake those sort of problems. They were like -7.5 favorites. Belmont, I would say they were almost double-digit favorites over. And UAB is very tough. They're scrappy. I just think that Drake, and they've only played 4 true road games, and they've lost 3 of them. So, again, I just really like the Sycamores here at home. I think it gives them a huge advantage. And Indiana State's undefeated in their own building this season, so they're going to definitely want to keep that going. The students love the basketball down there. It's Indiana. They love basketball, so it'll be a packed gym. It's going to be ruckus. It's going to be fun. Both teams shoot a lot outside and from the perimeter, so whoever's able to hit inside shots, get into the paint, finish at the rim, whether it's your centers or you got guards that are able to elevate and finish at the rim and draw contact, get to the free throw line, knock them down. That's what it's going to take to win this game, because threes and transition buckets and distance shots are always streaky. So whoever's having the most success in the paint is probably going to win this game, along with cleaning up the glass and rebounding. Last but not least, we're going out to the Pac-12 late night after dark. Oregon goes on the road to UCLA to play the Bruins, 10 p.m. on ESPN2. I don't talk a ton of Pac-12 because, unfortunately, a lot of the good games, or at least the ones I want to watch, are on the Pac-12 network, and that conference is folding, so I'm not going to pay to have the Pac-12 network, and watching 3 or 4 basketball games a week over there just seems kind of pointless. I just wish they would put them on a better network. But anyway, this is on ESPN2. I've been saying all season not all season. I've been saying since they beat Washington on the road in Washington that I need to respect the Ducks more. I'm finally getting a nice number and an opportunity to do that. And the Ducks on the money line are only about -113, -115 in that neighborhood. Let's not mess with points. We'll take the number. The Ducks don't play my favorite brand of basketball, but they win. And I've been saying how I need to respect them more, and they want to play in transition. UCLA, they don't want to play fast at all. They're one of the top 10 slowest teams in the entire country, and it's like watching paint dry. It sucks. It's not fun to watch. UCLA, they can rebound well, and a slow game favors them. Both teams shoot a ton of free throws, but neither team are very good at converting free throws into points. That's one of my biggest gripes with Oregon. Oregon shoots the 3 really well and works the mid-range jumper. Both teams, like I said, they're just average at free throws. Oregon is way more efficient from the floor, and when they put up shots, they have a much higher tendency to make them. They have a very good field goal percentage, and the Bruins just stink this year. They're 10-11. They were projected to finish close to the top of the Pac-12. In Oregon, like I said, they've been scrappy. They've been covering numbers. They've been getting road wins. The Ducks are legit. They don't play my favorite brand of basketball, but getting them on the money line here against a Bruins team who's kind of ass, but has been playing better. They've won 4 of their last 5, and they played Arizona really tough, but I'm not buying into it. I'm not buying into the Bruins. Give me the Ducks here on the money line. Let's get a late night Pac-12 After Dark road win. To recap the bets that I already have locked and gave out in Discord, we're riding no matter what. These are the numbers. We'll grade them here. We're taking UConn minus the 2.5 at St. John's. Huskies, like I said, I think they're a top 2 team in the country. They got to prove it. They got to continue to do work and win games in the Big East, especially on the road against a tough Johns team that a lot of people are projecting into the tournament. So Oklahoma at UCF. Look, I just think Oklahoma's the better team. I think they match up well. They play well on the road. UCF, they struggle from the floor, and if they can't hold opponents to under 70, they're going to have a very, very difficult time to win a game. Drake at Indiana State, top of the Missouri Valley Conference rematch. Sycamores, give me them at home. We'll lay the minus 4.5 against the Drake Bulldogs. Oregon at UCLA. We're taking the Ducks on the money line. They're just a very scrappy team. I've said I needed to respect more, and this is their opportunity to prove me right. Now, we'll get into a little bit of the lean sheet because there's probably about 25 more games I want to talk about here. But like I said, it's only about 7 o'clock when I'm putting this stuff together. So lines have only been up for about 35, 45 minutes. I just don't think that's enough time for markets to settle. I want to see other sports books come to market. And the tricky part about, doing this sort of video content is one, the reason I only do 2 shows a week is because I also do live shows and do other stuff with soccer, college basketball. A lot of times, I'm doing more graphics and sharing that sort of thing. This is time consuming stuff. A lot of work goes into the front end and the back end to produce this. So I'll quit tooting my own horn and telling you about my different time commitments, but and get into the lane sheet because we have a ton of great basketball on Saturday, and I love a ton of these games. In the ACC, we got Va Tech going on the road to Miami. I really like this Miami squad, but they haven't been covering numbers. They haven't been getting results. It's been tough, and I've kind of sworn them off as a gambler. Or not really sworn them off, but they're in a position that it's now smarter to fade them than it is to back them. I do think that this team is capable of putting it together. I'm not super confident in this number at plus 2.5 for Va Tech. If I see 3 or 3.5, that's probably something I'm going to take. I do think Miami can get a road home win here. They need one. They need one bad in the ACC, but it's going to be a tight game. One of my favorite conferences is the A10, some mid-major action. George Mason is catching 3.5 in some places versus at UMass. As I said, that UMass home magic that they had going on early is broken. I respect the hell out of this George Mason team. They make their free throws. They shoot threes. They play defense. They're big. They can play fast. They can play slow. I think they match up really well against this UMass team, and I think they can get an outright road W here to stay in that top second tier of the A10 conference. Staying in the A10, Duquesne goes to URI. You guys know I like this Rhode Island team, especially in their own barn. I think they're very scrappy, but I think this Duquesne team is just playing too good a basketball. It's minus 3.5 right now. Want to see what happens with the market. Minus 2.5 is really where I'm looking to get this and kind of see what happens to this number throughout the evening. South Carolina at Georgia as a pick'em. I want to back the Bulldogs again so bad. They have taken very good care of us. I know they blew that home game to Bama. It's still fresh in my mind. I know South Carolina can hoop. They just beat Tennessee. It feels kind of like an emotional letdown spot. Georgia really need this game. 1 p.m. on SEC Network. I don't know if I'll have action on this, but it's an absolutely must talk about game. And I think if you're not watching soccer like I will be, this will be on a TV. I just won't have the volume on, but this is going to be fantastic basketball down in the SEC. Jumping over to the Horizon League, Cleveland State is at Oakland. Oakland's kind of, they're up there with Youngstown, Wisconsin, Green Bay, very good in the Horizon League. Cleveland State is decent. They're pretty decent. So Oakland at home, where they're definitely better, -5.5. I think that is a little bit big of a number. Again, it's a Horizon League game, so very sparse on what's available for me to look at. You got to be patient with this market, but I do like Oakland here at home. Belmont heading to Missouri State. Missouri State, they're hot. They just beat Drake in double overtime. They're always outstanding in their building. This number's at -3.5. I like -3 better, but I have that. That's a fine number for me. I'm probably going to play that. I haven't locked it in yet, but I'm going to let it come to market on more than two sports books before I end up pulling the trigger, and that's at 2 p.m. on ESPN Plus. We're still in the early afternoon here, guys. I got about 10 more games I want to talk about, so I'll try and keep it moving a little bit faster. Texas +5 at TCU. In-state Texas rivalry. I do think the Longhorns stink outside of their own gym. I am pissed at the Longhorns for being very soft and acting like horns down is somehow a racial slur now. Like, it's absolutely outrageous. I just hate Texas, and they're not ready for the SEC. I very much want TCU to drag them, but I think +5 here is a lot, and I think the Longhorns can cover that number. And if I start seeing +6 or +6.5, I'm probably going to back the Longhorns, but sorry, shout out my boy Tommy, but horns down on that one. Cal at ASU. Look, Arizona State, they're super inconsistent. They play defense. Sometimes they can't buy a bucket and score 56 points. Other nights they drop 98. And it's a pick'em game. So I don't know. I'll take the home team here. Give me the Arizona State Sun Devils, and that one is at 3 o'clock on the Pac-12 network. Missouri at Vanderbilt. This is a pick'em. I like Missouri here. I think they go on the road. I think this number is kind of soft. I want to see, who else opens up, but this is like -1 for Missouri, and Vanderbilt sucks. They're not very good. They're bottom feeders in the SEC. So probably my favorite game of the weekend in the A10, Richmond +3 at VCU. I'm going to lock this in as soon as I'm done recording this video before I even start editing and trying to get this up. I also think they win on the money line outright. Don't know what that number is off the top of my head, but Richmond +3 at VCU. VCU, as we know, we just watched them. They were up massively on Bonnie's. They were making threes in the first half, then they couldn't get to the paint. They couldn't buy a bucket. Bonnie's made it rain threes. Richmond's very good at shooting the three. The Richmond's biggest weakness is rebounds, and VCU is just not as good as in their own building as they are on the road. These campuses are super close. It's going to be a wild time. This is must-see television. It's going to be phenomenal, and that is at 4 p.m. on ESPNU. Shout out the A10. Shout out Richmond Spiders. Undefeated in conference play. Keep it cooking. Up the Spiders. Houston at Kansas. Kansas at home catching 2.5. We all know how tough Kansas's barn is to play. There's not very many teams in the country I'd take over Kansas in their own building, and Houston's problems at the free throw line continue to be an issue. So I like Kansas plus the 2.5 here, even though they've been ass at covering numbers this year. It's a tough game, and it's one I got to talk about, but I don't know. I might not bet that game. Another small conference game, Little Rock on the money line versus EIU, Eastern Illinois University. Little Rock is very good. They're good at covering the number on the road here in a pick'em. Take the money line. Cincinnati at TTU. Bearcats, they definitely struggle a little bit more on the road. They just lost a really tough game in West Va. Now they got to go on the road and play TTU, who's incredibly good at their own building, live and die by the three-point line. But yeah, TTU in their own building, giving up less than 2 full possessions. I like that. BYU on the road at West Va. like I said, West Va at home just knocked off Cincinnati. They've also knocked off Kansas. I think that's a pretty good resume. I do like BYU a lot, but I'm not laying double digits on BYU on the road. I've learned that lesson. BYU on the road, they live and die by the three as well. It's streaky. It's inconsistent. It's really fun to watch when they're running the score up, but they go through big droughts where you can't buy a bucket. Give me West Va at home plus the 9. Duke at UNC. This is appointment television. This is absolutely phenomenal. This is at 6:30 on ESPN. I think UNC is the best team in the country. Give me UNC -4. Syracuse plus 7.5 at Wake Forest. I'm kind of over you, Wake Forest. I know you're tough in your own building, blah, 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 blah. Syracuse, you're playing good ball. I like what you've been doing. We all know how tough it is to score against the zone. This one's at 7:45 on the CW, kind of a weird time slot. But shout out some good ACC ball. Kind of have a little bit of a standalone time slot, so it'll be an easy one to flip into throughout the commercials. FSU -6 at Louisville. If you've watched this show before, you know I fucking hate FSU. So if I'm taking them -6, that should tell you something about Louisville. They're hot garbage. They will put a game together and shock you once in a while, but this program's been in the mud for a while, and we're not going to get into why, because we just don't have that kind of time. Weber State at Northern Colorado. Northern Colorado at home, only laying -2. Again, this is a small conference game. Nobody's really going to notice this one. Very nice number on Northern Colorado. I would take all the way up to -3. Obviously, it's up to you. You got to make your own decision if that moves through -3, whether or not you want 3.5. I'm comfortable recommending 2 -3 there. Iowa State at Baylor. This Big 12, man. This Big 12 is just, it's such good basketball. It's phenomenal basketball. It's the toughest conference in the country. Baylor Bears, you got your bounce back. I don't have to shit talk you all weekend. Nice win on the road. Come back in your building, handle your business. Iowa State, look, they're very tough in Ames. I just don't respect them nearly as much on the road. Their game doesn't travel super well outside of Ames. That's at 8 p.m. on ESPN2. And finally, last but not least, Tennessee at UK. Kentucky, 8:30 ESPN. Do Kentucky lose 2 in a row at home? How bad they got their ass chewed out after losing that game to Florida, who had absolutely no business hanging with them in their building. And now you got Tennessee coming to town. Spread's 1.5. This is a complete coin flip game. I don't know if I'm going to have action on this. This game's not until 8:30 p.m. I have over a full 24 hours from when I'm done recording this video to decide if I'm going to play this one. And I'm going to take a lot of time to figure out what side I'm going to be on, because I think it's really, really hard to think that Kentucky's going to lose back-to-back in their own building. Tennessee's good, and they need a win, and the SEC's tough, and I get it, but losing back-to-back in your own building, that's just not something Kentucky typically does. Anyway, I appreciate it. That's the whole lean sheet. I want to give a big thank you to my cousin Sam, who's always tuning in, talking college ball with me. He's at home. Him and his wife just had a new baby boy, so congratulations to them. I know he'll be watching hoops. His wife's a Marquette alum, and she's great. So we're always talking Big East basketball, especially Marquette. I didn't include Marquette in this one. I'm sorry, fam, but they're 13.5-point favorites. You know how I feel about Shaka Smart as massive road favorites. Yes, it is Georgetown, and Georgetown does suck, and Marquette should win by 20, but I'm not comfortable laying those kinds of points, dog. Shout out to my cousin Joe. Shout out to 2 dudes in the Discord who got birthdays this weekend, Bird and Kobe. We're putting together a little squad ride parlay for that. Should be a lot of fun. Shout out to my pops who came out for a visit. We got some lunch. As you can see, if you pay attention at all, to other than just my dumb face talking at you, I was able to rearrange my house, get a little more space to work in over here. So thanks, pops, for the hand. Please, guys, if you want to check out, I saw a couple of people commenting, you surprised I'm not doing college videos every day. Trust me, I would love to do college basketball videos for you guys every day, but on top of soccer stuff and the other commitments I have, I'm just not able to dedicate that sort of time. I do handicap college basketball every single day, though. I put all my plays in Discord. I also tweet a bunch of them out for free on Twitter. I put link sheets on Instagram when I have the time. So feel free, check me out. I give 3 days free to check out the Discord before, you decide whether or not you want to stick around and pay for it. So I appreciate you guys. And that's it. That's Talking Hoops with Oaks.